Captain Jun Kim stood tall at the viewing window of the Earth ship. The blue and purple planet Arcadia grew larger as they approached. His heart beat faster, but his face stayed calm. The future of Earth depended on this mission. 10 minutes until landing, Captain, said his pilot. Jun nodded. Thank you. He straightened his dark blue uniform and touched the Earth emblem on his chest. Earth needed help. The Vex aliens from the nearby star system had threatened Earth with war. Humans had good technology, but the Vex had more ships and weapons. Earth needed an ally, and the Arcadian Empire was the strongest power in this part of the galaxy. The ship landed with a soft bump on the silver landing pad. When the door opened, bright purple light flooded in. Jun blinked as he stepped onto alien soil for the first time. 6 tall guards waited for him. Their skin shimmered like fish scales, changing from blue to green in the light. Each stood over 7 feet tall. Follow us to the palace, Earth human, the lead guard said in a flat voice. The capital city was beautiful but strange. Tall buildings with curved tops reached into the sky. Vehicles floated silently above the streets. Arcadians stopped to stare at Jun as he passed. Humans were rare here. At the palace, giant doors slid open to reveal a throne room. Hundreds of shimmering Arcadians stood in groups, their skin colors shifting as they whispered about the human visitor. At the far end, on a raised platform, sat King Doyan on a throne that seemed carved from a single crystal. Approach, Earth Captain, the king commanded. Jun walked forward, feeling the eyes of everyone on him. He bowed in the Earth way, then gave the Arcadian salute he had practiced. Right arm across chest, fingers spread. King Doyan, I bring greetings from Earth. We seek an alliance with the great Arcadian Empire. The king's skin rippled with blue patterns, a sign of interest. And why should we ally with your small world? Earth offers new technologies, rare minerals, and a strategic position near the spiral arm, Jun said. We ask for protection against the Vex in return. King Doyan made a sound like bells. An Arcadian laugh. You ask much, Earth human. As the king spoke, Jun noticed movement to the side of the throne. A smaller Arcadian stood half hidden behind a column. Unlike the others, her skin shimmered less brightly. While most Arcadians were blue-green, her skin had flecks of gold. Her eyes met his, then quickly looked away. Who is that? Jun asked before he could stop himself. The court went silent. The king's skin flashed red. Anger. That is Princess Minji, he said coldly. My daughter. The disappointment. Jun saw the princess flinch at her father's words. The court broke into whispers. Forgive me, Jun said. On Earth, gold is our most precious metal. I was surprised by her unique appearance. This wasn't just diplomacy. Something about the princess had caught Jun's attention. Though she tried to hide, she watched the proceedings with intelligent eyes. An older Arcadian stepped forward. The princess is flawed. Her colors are dull, her stature small. In Arcadian society, such traits are considered defects. Jun straightened his back. On Earth, we believe differences bring strength. Our history shows that those who think differently often solve problems others cannot. The court whispered louder. The princess looked at Jun with surprise. King Doyan tapped his fingers on his throne. Interesting views, Captain Kim. We will discuss your alliance proposal at the feast tonight. His eyes moved between Jun and his daughter. A calculation seemed to form in his mind. Princess Minji will be your guide until then. The princess stepped forward, her golden-flecked skin glowing softly. This way, Captain, she said in a gentle voice. As they left the throne room, Jun felt the king watching them. He didn't know it yet, but the fate of Earth, and the entire galaxy, had just shifted in a new direction. Princess Minji led Jun through the crystal halls of the palace. She walked with her head down, as if trying to be invisible. The feast will be in the Great Hall, she said softly. I can show you where you'll stay until then. Jun studied her as they walked. Up close, her golden-flecked skin was even more beautiful. She was shorter than other Arcadians, closer to human height. "Thank you for being my guide, Princess," June said. "May I ask about your world? I've studied Arcadian history, but books can only teach so much." Minji looked surprised. No one ever asked for her thoughts. "What would you like to know?" she asked. "Everything," June smiled. "But let's start with how your government works." As they talked, Minji's shyness faded. Her eyes lit up when she spoke about science and history. June realized she was extremely smart, maybe smarter than the king himself. "You know a lot about politics," June said. Minji looked away. "I'm not supposed to study such things. Father says it's not proper for females, especially ones like me. But I listen when no one notices." June frowned. "On Earth, some of our best leaders are women." They reached the guest quarters, a room with strange floating furniture and walls that changed color. "The feast begins when the second sun sets," Minji said. "I should go." "Thank you for your help, Princess," June said. "I hope we can talk more." Minji gave a small smile before leaving. Later, at the feast, June sat at a long table with King Doyun and his advisors. Minji sat far down the table, almost hidden behind tall decorations. "Captain Kim," the king said, "I've been thinking about your proposal." June sat up straight. "Yes, your majesty. An alliance between our worlds could be useful," King Doyun said. "But words and promises are just air. We need something stronger." "What do you suggest?" June asked. The king's skin rippled with blue and purple patterns. "A marriage bond. One of my family weds one of yours. This is how we make our strongest alliances." Whispers spread through the hall. June kept his face calm, but his mind raced. He hadn't expected this. "I am honored by the suggestion," June said carefully. "Who would you propose for this marriage?" King Doyun smiled coldly. "My daughter Minji, of course." The court broke into whispers and laughs. Minji looked up in shock, her skin paling to a dull blue. June understood immediately. The king wanted to get rid of his flawed daughter while securing Earth as an ally. To the Arcadians, this was a joke. The human outsider and the outcast princess. But June saw something else. He had studied Arcadian politics for years. The royal family had special powers over empire law. A marriage to Minji, no matter how the court mocked her, gave Earth a voice in the empire. And in the hours they had spent talking, June had seen Minji's brilliant mind. On Earth, she would be valued, not mocked. "I accept," June said clearly. The laughter stopped. Even the king looked surprised. "You understand this is not a temporary arrangement?" the king asked. "By our laws, you would be bound for life." "I understand," June said. He looked at Minji, who was watching him with wide eyes. "If the princess agrees." All eyes turned to Minji. For the first time, she sat up straight, her golden-flecked skin catching the light. "I agree," she said, her voice stronger than before. King Doyun clapped his hands together. "Then it is settled. We will have the ceremony tomorrow. Earth and Arcadia will be joined by blood." As the feast continued, June caught Minji's eye across the table. She gave him a small smile, and he nodded back. Neither of them knew it yet, but they had just taken the first step toward changing the galaxy forever. Behind his diplomatic smile, June thought of the messages waiting on his ship, secret plans from Earth's leaders. This marriage was not just about protection from the Vex. It was about something much bigger. The marriage ceremony was short and cold. King Doyun spoke the formal words without emotion. The court watched with mocking eyes. When it was done, Minji was no longer Princess of Arcadia. She was now the wife of an Earth captain. "The alliance papers are signed," King Doyun said after the ceremony. "Your planet has our protection. Now take your new wife and go." No farewell party. No gifts. Minji was given 1 hour to pack her things. She had few belongings, some clothes, a small box of treasures, and 3 data crystals she hid inside her sleeve. By sunset, June and Minji boarded the Earth ship. As the doors closed, Minji looked back at her homeworld one last time. "Are you sad to leave?" June asked gently. Minji shook her head. "No, this was never truly my home." The trip to Earth took 2 weeks. At first, Minji stayed in her room, shy and unsure. June gave her space but invited her to meals and offered to show her Earth customs. Slowly, Minji began to open up. She was curious about everything. "Your people truly let females study anything they want?" she asked one day. "Of course," June said. "Some of our best scientists and leaders are women." Minji's skin rippled with bright gold, a sign of happiness June had never seen before. "I have something to show you," she said. She took out the data crystals she had hidden. "These contain science texts I wasn't supposed to read. I taught myself in secret." June plugged one crystal into the ship's computer. Complex equations and theories filled the screen. "Minji, these are advanced physics concepts," he said, amazed. "You understand all this?" She nodded. "Science makes sense to me. The court called me slow because I'm quiet, but I just think before I speak." June smiled. "On Earth, you won't have to hide your mind anymore." As they neared Earth, June received a message from his family. He seemed worried after reading it. "Is something wrong?" Minji asked. June hesitated. "My family is not what you might expect." When they landed in Seoul, a small group waited for them. An older man with gray hair stepped forward. "Father," June bowed slightly. "This is Minji, my wife." The old man bowed to Minji. "Welcome to our family, daughter." They drove to a simple house outside the city. It looked ordinary, but Minji noticed hidden security cameras and strange metal patterns on the walls. Inside, June's father led them to a room behind the kitchen. He pressed his hand to the wall, and a hidden door opened. They walked down a long staircase to an underground room filled with screens and maps of the galaxy. "What is this place?" Minji asked. "The truth," June said. "My family has worked for Earth's defense for 7 generations." June's father nodded. "The Kim family has one mission: to protect Earth at any cost." He touched a screen, and images of Arcadia appeared. Maps, military bases, ship designs, information no outsider should have. "How did you get these?" Minji asked, shocked. "We have been gathering information for 100 years, June's father said. "We knew someday Earth would need to protect itself or expand." Minji looked at June with new eyes. "You married me for this information." June shook his head. "The marriage alliance was real. But yes, your knowledge of Arcadia is valuable." "Are you angry?" June's father asked. Minji thought for a moment. Then her skin rippled with gold flecks. "No. For the first time, someone values my mind." She stepped toward the screens. "These maps are old. The defense grid was updated last year. I can show you the new design." June smiled with relief. "Will you help us?" "Yes," Minji said. "But first, tell me everything. What are you planning?" June took her hand. "Something no one expects. Not the Vex, not the Arcadians." He looked at his father, who nodded. "We're going to change the galaxy," June said. "And we need you to do it." 1 year passed quickly. Minji learned Earth languages and customs. She studied freely, no longer hiding her intelligence. Her skin glowed brighter now, the gold flecks shining like stars. June and Minji worked well together. She helped Earth scientists understand Arcadian technology. He taught her about Earth's history and military tactics. They grew closer each day, their marriage of convenience becoming something real. Then the message came. "Urgent communication from Arcadia," said the computer voice. June and Minji looked at each other with surprise. They hadn't heard from Arcadia since leaving. On the screen appeared an Arcadian noble Minji recognized, her father's advisor, Lord Teo. Princess Minji, Captain Kim. Lord Tahoe bowed slightly. I bring grave news. King Do-hyun faces rebellion. General Suk has taken control of 5 planets and moves against Arcadia. Why tell us? June asked. The king made it clear my wife is no longer his concern. Lord Tahoe's skin rippled with blue worry patterns. The rebellion grows stronger. The king. He paused. The king requests your help. After the call ended, June paced the room. This is not our problem. Your father cast you out. Minji touched the screen where the Arcadian star map showed. I know General Suk. She is cruel and greedy. If she wins, the first thing she will do is break the alliance with Earth. So we helped the king who treated you badly. June asked. Minji looked at him with serious eyes. We help Arcadia for Earth's safety. And her voice softened. This is our chance. Chance for what? To show our value. To build influence, Minji said. My father needs us now. He will have to acknowledge us publicly. June smiled slowly. You think like a general, wife. 3 days later, they arrived at Arcadia with 3 Earth ships. The palace looked different. Walls damaged, guards everywhere. King Do-hyun waited in the throne room. His bright skin had dulled with stress. When he saw Minji, his eyes widened. She stood tall now, her gold-flecked skin glowing with health and confidence. Daughter, he said stiffly. Captain Kim, thank you for coming. Father, Minji bowed slightly. We came as soon as we heard. The king explained the situation. General Suk controlled key defense stations. Her forces would reach Arcadia in 10 days. Show me your defense plan, June said. The king's advisors brought up a battle map. June studied it, then shook his head. This won't work. You're fighting the way General Suk expects. And what do you suggest, human? Asked one advisor coldly. June pointed to the map. Change everything. Suk knows Arcadian tactics. We need Earth strategies. For hours, they worked on a new plan. Minji pointed out weaknesses in Arcadian ships that Earth captains could exploit. June explained Earth battle formations, never seen in this part of the galaxy. This might work, the king finally admitted. But my generals must lead. Of course, June said. But I have one condition. The king's skin flashed red. You dare make demands? Yes, June said firmly. When we win, you will publicly honor your daughter and her marriage. No more pretending she doesn't exist. The king looked at Minji, seeing her clearly perhaps for the first time. Agreed. 7 days later, the battle for Arcadia began. General Suk's ships approached confidently, expecting an easy victory. Instead, they faced Earth tactics they'd never seen before. Arcadian ships moved in Earth formations, attacking from unexpected angles. In the Royal Command Center, Jun directed Earth captains while Minji advised Arcadian generals on the enemy's weak points. By day's end, General Suk's flagship was captured. The rebellion collapsed quickly after that. In the Grand Hall, King Do-hyun kept his promise. Before all the noble houses, he placed a royal medal on Minji's neck. My daughter and her human husband saved Arcadia, he announced. From this day, they have voice and vote in the royal council. Later, as they walked through the palace gardens, Minji squeezed Jun's hand. This is just the beginning, she said softly. Jun nodded. One step closer to our plan. Across the galaxy, pieces were starting to move. 3 years passed. Jun and Minji split their time between Earth and Arcadia. With their new power in the Royal Council, they made small but important changes. The trade fees for the Nuri system are too high, Minji said during one council meeting. They cannot pay and feed their people. The Nuri are weak, said Lord Quan, an old council member. It is not our problem. But it could be our opportunity, Jun added. If we lower the fees, they will be grateful. Grateful allies are loyal allies. King Do-hyun, who now listened when his daughter spoke, agreed. Try it your way. This became their pattern. Find planets and species the Empire treated poorly. Offer better terms. Build loyalty. June and Minji traveled constantly. Unlike other Arcadian nobles who stayed in luxury ships, they walked among common people. They ate local food. They listened to problems. On the desert planet Hana, Minji helped design a new water system. The Empire never fixed this, said the Hana leader, a tall being with sand-colored skin. We are not like the others, Minji said simply. On the ice moon Seol, Jun brought new heating technology when the old systems failed. Why help us? Asked the Seol elder. We have little to offer. Today we help you, Jun said. Tomorrow, perhaps you help us. Back on Arcadia, some nobles complained. They waste resources on worthless planets, Lord Quan told the king. But King Doyun, growing older and wiser, saw the results. The planets Jun and Minji helped now sent their best goods to Arcadia. Their ships protected trade routes from pirates. Their people spoke well of the king. Let them continue, the king ordered. In secret, Jun and Minji built something more. Each friendly planet became part of a hidden network. Earth ships carried special communication devices that worked outside Imperial control. In their private quarters on Arcadia, Minji showed Jun a map of their allies. 27 planets now, she said proudly. Each one ignored or mistreated by the Empire. And each one grateful to us, not to your father, Jun added. Minji nodded. They follow the name Kim now, not just the name of the king. Their work did not go unnoticed. One night, as they prepared for bed in their Earth home, a visitor arrived. The Vex are moving again, Jun's father said without greeting. Our spies report they grow bolder. They may attack Earth despite the alliance. Jun frowned. The Arcadian fleet would stop them. If the king orders it, his father said. But would he risk Arcadian lives for Earth? Minji touched the star map on their wall. We need our own fleet. Earth cannot build enough ships in time, Jun's father said. Not Earth alone, Minji smiled. But what about our 27 allies? The next day, they called a secret meeting. Representatives from all their allied planets came to Earth. Some looked strange to human eyes. The jellyfish-like Bora people, the four-armed Yan traders, the tiny but brilliant Hyun engineers. The Vex threat grows, Jun told them. Today they look at Earth. Tomorrow, your worlds. What do you suggest? Asked the Bora leader, her transparent body pulsing with light. A mutual defense pact, Minji said. Not under Arcadian control, but our own alliance. This is dangerous, warned the Yan representative. The king would not approve. The king does not need to know yet, Jun said. Each world builds a few ships, small contributions that won't be noticed. Together, we create a fleet. The room was quiet as each representative considered. I trust you, the Seol elder finally said. You helped us when no one would. We will join. One by one, they all agreed. As the meeting ended, Minji and Jun stood at the window, looking at Earth's night sky. We now have allies from 27 worlds, Jun said quietly. Minji's skin glowed with golden happiness. And soon, we will have a fleet to protect them all. Neither said the words out loud, but both thought the same thing. This new alliance was the real beginning of their power. Not just voices in the king's council, but leaders of their own growing force in the galaxy. The warning came at midnight. All communication systems on Earth and Arcadia lit up at once. Emergency alert, the message said. Unknown ships entering the galaxy. Jun and Minji were on their way to meet the Hyun engineers when the call came. They changed course immediately for Arcadia. When they arrived, the royal war room was in chaos. Advisors shouted over each other. Star maps showed strange ships moving through the outer systems. What do we know? Jun asked the commander. They came from beyond the dark sector. The commander said, hundreds of ships, maybe thousands. They don't answer any calls. King Doyun sat on his war throne, looking older than ever. They attacked 3 outer planets already. No survivors. Minji studied the map. Their path. Her voice trailed off. "What is it?" June asked. "They're heading for all major population centers," she said, "following old trade routes, routes that haven't been used in 50,000 years." An old scholar stepped forward. "The Ancient Ones," he whispered. "The stories say they ruled the galaxy before any of our species existed. They went to sleep when their sun was dying." "Legends," snapped Lord Quan. "Maybe not," Minji said. "Look at their technology readings. Nothing like ours." More reports came in. The unknown ships had destroyed an Arcadian defense fleet without slowing down. Their weapons cut through shields like they weren't there. King Doyun stood up. "We must protect Arcadia. Bring all ships back to defend the home system. But the outer worlds," Minji started, "are not my concern," the king cut her off. "My duty is to Arcadia." June watched the faces of the other nobles. Most agreed with the king. Self-preservation came first. "We should evacuate the planets in their path," June suggested. "With what ships?" Lord Quan asked. "All vessels are needed here." June and Minji exchanged looks. They had their secret fleet, but it wasn't ready for a fight like this. Later, in their private room, Minji paced back and forth. "My father will sacrifice billions to save Arcadia." "And it won't work," Jun said, looking at the data. "These Ancient Ones will come here eventually. Hiding won't save anyone." Minji touched the special communicator they used with their allies. "We need to warn our friends." One by one, they contacted all 27 worlds. The Bora, the Yan, the Seal, all faced the same terror. "What should we do?" the Hana leader asked, fear in his voice. "Join together," Jun said firmly. "Bring your ships, not to Arcadia, but to the Nuri system. It's not in the direct path." "And then what?" asked the Seal elder. "We plan," Minji said. "Together." 3 days later, ships from all their allied worlds gathered near Nuri. Not a mighty fleet like Arcadia's, but diverse, each species bringing different technology and ideas. The Hyun brought their new shield designs. The Bora shared their living metal ship armor. The Yan offered their fastest engines. In the command ship, Jun and Minji called everyone together. "The ancients have returned to reclaim what was once theirs," Jun said. "The Arcadian Empire hides and hopes to be spared. We choose a different path," Minji continued. "We will not hide. We will not abandon each other." She showed them a plan. Not a direct attack. That would be suicide. Instead, a way to save as many lives as possible while learning about the enemy. "We need to know how they think," she explained. "How their ships work. Their weaknesses. And once we know," asked the captain. June's face was serious. "Then we fight. Not for one world, but for all worlds." As the meeting ended, news came that the ancients had destroyed another Arcadian fleet. King Doyun had ordered all remaining ships back to the home planet. "The Empire is collapsing," whispered the Bora leader. "Then something new must take its place," Jum said, looking at the gathered allies. No one said it, but everyone felt it. The old order was ending. And in this crisis, Jun and Minji were the ones people turned to for leadership. The greatest test of the galaxy had begun. 2 weeks passed. The Ancient Ones continued their advance through the galaxy. Jun and Minji's alliance worked tirelessly to evacuate planets in the enemy's path. On the ice moon Seal, Jun led the rescue effort himself. "We have 6 hours before they arrive," he told his team. "Get everyone onto the ships." Meanwhile, Minji worked with the Hyun engineers. The tiny beings had captured part of an ancient ship. They studied it day and night, looking for weaknesses. "Their systems are biological," a Hyun scientist told Minji. "Half machine, half living." "Can we use that against them?" Minji asked. The Hyun wiggled their antenna in thought. "Maybe. All living things have weaknesses. Reports came in from across the galaxy. The ancients now controlled 30 systems. The Arcadian Empire had pulled back all forces to protect only their core worlds. Then came the news they feared. "Urgent message from Arcadia," said a communications officer. "The king requests immediate help." In the command center, they watched King Do-hyun's message. The old king looked frightened. "The ancients approach Arcadia," he said. "Our defenses will not hold. I call upon all allies to send ships." June looked at the star map. He abandoned the outer worlds. Now he wants their help. Minji studied the ancient fleet movements. Something didn't look right. "They're not attacking Arcadia directly," she said. "They're going around it to hit the Togo system first." The Togo system was small but important. 5 planets with rich resources and billions of people. Why would my father say they're attacking Arcadia? Minji wondered. They got their answer 1 hour later. A secret message came from Lord Taho, who had helped them years ago during the rebellion. "The king plans to sacrifice Togo," Lord Taho's message said. "He has moved our main fleet away. He told the ancients that Togo is where our weapons are made. He hopes they will attack there instead of Arcadia." Minji's skin turned pale blue with shock. He's using billions of people as bait. June's face hardened. "We need to warn Togo." "There's more," Minji said, reading the end of the message. "My father has called a meeting of the Galactic Council. He will ask for emergency powers to command all ships in the galaxy." The Galactic Council rarely met. It included representatives from every known species. If the king controlled all ships, he would sacrifice anyone to save himself. "We must stop him," Jun said. They raced to the council meeting on the neutral planet Zuri. Representatives from 100 worlds filled the great hall. King Do-hyun stood at the center, telling his story. "The ancients target our weapon factories," he said. "Give me command of all forces, and I will stop them." Jun and Minji walked in with Lord Taho. "The king lies," Jun announced. His voice carried across the hall. Gasps and whispers filled the room. King Do-hyun's skin flashed angry red. "How dare you?" he shouted. Minji stepped forward. "There are no weapon factories in the Togo system, father. You moved your fleet away on purpose. You sacrificed billions to save yourself." Lord Taho displayed the secret orders the king had given. The evidence was clear. While the king hides, Jun continued, "Our alliance has evacuated 12 planets. We've saved millions of lives." One by one, representatives stood to speak. The Bora, the Yan, the Seol, all told how Jun and Minji had helped them while the Empire abandoned them. The council leader, an ancient being with glowing eyes, called for a vote. Who should lead our defense? The king who sacrifices others, or those who have proven they fight for all? The vote was quick. The council removed King Do-hyun's power. In his place, they named Jun and Minji as joint leaders of the galaxy's defense. As guards led the former king away, he looked at his daughter with hatred and surprise. "How did you do this?" he asked. "You were nothing. Flawed. Unwanted." Minji stood tall, her gold-flecked skin glowing brightly. "I was never flawed, father," she said. "I was just different. And sometimes, different is exactly what the galaxy needs." Leading a galaxy at war was not easy. Jun and Minji worked day and night from their new command center on Zuri. "The ancients have taken another 10 systems," Jun told the gathered captains. "But now we understand their pattern." On the big map, he showed how the enemy ships always followed the same routes, the oldest trade paths in the galaxy. "They attack in waves of exactly 157 ships," he explained. "They never change course once they start moving." Minji stepped forward. "This matches what the Hyun discovered. The ancients think like machines. They follow old programming from 50,000 years ago. For 2 weeks, they had tested different tactics. Normal weapons barely damaged the ancient ships, but the Hyun scientists had found something important. Their ships are part living, part machine," Minji explained. and the living part has a central nervous system. She showed images of a strange glowing network inside the captured ship parts. It's like a brain, she said. And like all brains, it can be overloaded. June nodded. We need to hit them all at once. One massive attack on their central ships. Planning the attack took 10 days. Ships from 50 worlds gathered near the galactic core. It was the largest fleet ever assembled, but still smaller than the ancient forces. The night before the battle, June found Minji looking at old star maps. Worried? He asked. She nodded. If we fail tomorrow, the galaxy falls. June took her hand. Remember when we met? Everyone thought your differences made you weak. Minji's skin rippled with gold. A small smile. But your different minds solved this puzzle, he continued. You saw patterns no one else could see. We did it together, she said. Human and Arcadian. That's why we'll win, June said. The ancients think in one way only. We think in many ways. Morning came too quickly. Captains took their places. Engineers prepared the special weapons the Hyun had designed. Devices that would send powerful energy pulses into the ancient ship's neural networks. June gave final instructions to the fleet. Remember the plan. The first group draws their attention. The second strikes their command ships. The third protects our retreat if needed. And the most important thing, Minji added, protect each other. We win together or not at all. The ancient fleet appeared right on schedule. Massive ships, glowing with strange blue light. They moved in perfect formation, just as predicted. Begin, June ordered. The battle was unlike any before. The Allied fleet broke all normal battle rules. Ships flew in seemingly random patterns, confusing the ancients who expected standard tactics. In the command center, Minji watched the enemy movements. They're trying to adjust, she said, but they're slow to change course. Now, June commanded. The second group of ships rushed forward. Small, fast vessels built by the Bora slipped between the ancient ships. They attached the Hyun devices to 20 key command ships. Devices planted, reported a captain. Ready to activate. Minji took a deep breath. Activate now. The devices lit up. Energy pulses shot through the ancient ship's neural networks. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the massive ships began to drift. Their lights flickered. It's working, someone shouted. But victory came at a cost. The ancient ships fired their weapons one last time. 3 Allied ships disappeared in bright flashes. Among them was the vessel carrying Lord Tao and the brave Hyun scientists who had designed the weapons. No, Minji whispered, seeing the loss. The battle continued for hours. One by one, the ancient ships shut down. By sunset, it was over. The greatest threat the galaxy had faced in 50,000 years had been defeated. In the command center, cheers mixed with tears. They had won, but many good people had died. June put his arm around Minji as they looked at the battle map. Lord Taeho was your friend, he said softly. He helped us when no one else would, she answered, her skin dim with sadness. He believed in us before anyone else. We'll honor him, June promised. And all the others. As captains came to report their status, June and Minji stood together, tired but determined. The battle was won, but rebuilding the galaxy would be an even bigger task. And now, it was their responsibility. 1 year after the great battle, the galaxy was healing. Ships moved freely again between stars. Planets rebuilt their cities. People began to hope again. At the center of this new hope stood June and Minji. The Galactic Council had asked them to continue leading after the war ended. Their first decision surprised everyone. We will not rule from Arcadia, June announced to the Council. The old empire is gone. Instead, they chose a small green planet called Haru at the center of the galaxy. It belonged to no species and had room for all. This will be our new capital, Minji explained. Not a place of power, but a place of meeting. They built a circular palace with sections for every type of being. Water rooms for the Bora, heat chambers for the Seol, light gardens for the Yan. Every species could live comfortably there. The biggest change was how they governed. The old empire had forced planets to obey. The new system asked planets to join freely. Each world keeps its own leaders. Joan told representatives from 100 planets. The council makes decisions that affect everyone. Not all worlds joined at first. Some waited to see if this new system would last. Others, like Arcadia, were angry about losing power. June's father came to visit the new capital. His hair was completely white now, his eyes tired but proud. "When you married an alien princess, I thought it was just for Earth's protection," he told his son. "I never imagined this." June smiled. Neither did we. Life changed for June and Minji too. One morning, Minji came to June with surprising news. "The doctors have confirmed it," she said, her skin glowing brighter than ever with gold flecks. "I'm going to have a baby." June's eyes widened. But the scientists said humans and Arcadians couldn't. "They were wrong," Minji said, taking his hand. Just like they were wrong about so many things. The news spread quickly through the galaxy. No human and Arcadian had ever had a child together. Some saw it as a miracle, others as proof that the species weren't so different after all. 5 months later, as Minji's time grew closer, they decided to visit Earth. Their lives were so busy now. They rarely had time to see June's homeworld. They walked through a park in Seoul, away from guards and officials. Normal people nodded politely but left them alone. "I love this about Earth," Minji said, her round belly visible under her simple dress. "No one stares at my gold flecks here." June squeezed her hand. "Earth always saw your beauty." That night, they sat on the roof of June's family home, looking at the stars. "Do you remember when we first met?" Minji asked. "You were so serious, trying to save your planet." June laughed. "And you were hiding behind a column." "Now we protect the whole galaxy," she said softly. "Not just protect," June corrected. "We're building something new, something better." 3 months later, their daughter was born. She had Minji's golden-flecked skin and June's dark eyes. They named her Hana, after the desert planet that was their first ally. On the day they presented her to the Galactic Council, representatives from 200 worlds came to see the child. Former King Do-yun, now living quietly on a small moon, was not among them. "She is the first of her kind," said the council leader. "Neither human nor Arcadian, but something new." Jun held his daughter high for all to see. "Like this child, our galaxy is no longer divided by difference. We are united by it." As people cheered, Minji stood beside her husband and daughter. She thought of her long journey, from outcast princess to galactic leader. From being mocked for being different to being celebrated for it. "What do you think she'll become?" an Earth representative asked, looking at baby Hana. Minji smiled, her gold-flecked skin glowing with happiness. "Whatever she wants," she said. "In this new galaxy, being different isn't a flaw. It's the greatest strength of all." Around them, the representatives of 200 worlds nodded in agreement. The couple that had changed everything, the human captain and the alien king's outcast daughter, had shown the galaxy a new way forward. Together,